Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Coach's Corner here on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network. I'm joined by my sidekick, Mike Teague.
Hello.
Like every time.
Every time we're here.
Reach out to him at Hey Mike Teague if you need to. So, Mike, we are here on the Coach's Corner. Our folks at home will be able to listen to an interview I had just a little earlier with Leslie Allen, who's our head coach of Stunt, as they prepare for their season opener. Both of us were pretty new. We didn't know what Stunt was when we kind of added it to the Vanguard picks.
Yeah.
But I quickly fell in love with the sport. Kind of from your vantage point of watching and being a fan, what's your favorite part about the sport?
Yeah, I think for me, Stunt is unique, and I actually really enjoy it. And I tell people, you guys need to look at this. And I talk to other administrators too at different colleges. I'm like, guys, you really have to take a look at adding this sport. I love it because it truly is and feels like a competition. You've got quarters, you got timeouts, steals. Like, you do everything right next to each other. It feels more intense than it would be like a normal cheer competition, right? And so that's why I've grown to love the sport of Stunt, and enjoyed watching it. And I really enjoyed how Coach Allen, who comes from that cheer background, has come and incorporated the stunt aspect of cheer into this, and has really done a great job with it. But yeah, it's such a fun sport that I had no idea existed before we added it, to be honest. And but it's been super fun to see her grow the program, and also see the sport of Stunt just continue to grow as a whole.
Absolutely. So their 2020 season's getting underway here shortly. They had a magical second season, went on a crazy win streak, a couple overtime games, and reached the national championship, which is one of the things that we spoke with Coach Allen about. So we will go ahead and step aside now and get our voices off this, and we'll let you listen in to the interview with Leslie Allen, the head coach of Vanguard Stunt. We are thrilled to be joined today by Leslie Allen, the stunt coach here at Vanguard. So welcome into the podcast, Leslie.
Thank you.
This is the Coach's Corner. This is your first time being on it.
Yes.
So hopefully you're as excited as we are to have you. So a couple things we'll touch on. We'll kind of just touch on Stunt as the sport in general,
okay.
your Vanguard experience, what brought you here, and then we'll dip into a little bit of last year's run to the national championships that we competed in. So
Okay.
first thing, kind of just walk us through the fall preparation season. Your season's a spring sport, but you kind of start learning the routines in the fall, and kind of break us down how you guys start putting all the aspects of the tumbling, the baskets, the pyramids, all that stuff together in the fall.
Okay. So when we first get to campus, we spend some time, first of all, getting to know each other, and then looking at just the different skill sets that Stunt is going to be probably incorporating in the routines for the spring. So we really start trying to kind of place people in the positions for success. So the strength of the base, the strength of the back spot, and how they are going to work with the flyers. So everybody's got their own little, kind of differences, especially if they're coming in from a high school program. So we really spend some time in the fall working to become more unified into the style of Stunt itself. And so taking the individual athletes and working to put them together as one unit. So it does take some time. It takes some focus on the specifics, the certain set types of skills. So Stunt is very timed and precision driven, and a lot of the girls that come from a background of just cheer in general or competition cheer, they're used to just hitting skills and moving on to the next thing. Where Stunt is very count specific and skill driven in execution. So we start by just saying, looking at their skills, breaking it down, and saying, okay, now you need to understand you cannot move your feet here. You have to hold this position here. So it definitely takes some transition, especially for the new girls coming in, and then kind of becoming that cohesive unit that understands each other. And then pyramids, of course, is really what takes quite a bit of time. So we try to introduce just some of the basic pyramids to begin with, and then work our way on up. Baskets, we spend time, looking for those the proper technique and developing that. A lot of the kids coming from high school don't do baskets anymore. Baskets are really turning into just a skill for college level. So we'll get young ladies that have never really spent time doing a basket. So that takes some time as well, just the skills of it.
Definitely. So what would you, kind of in one or two sentences, what's the main difference between competitive cheer and stunt? There's a lot of folks that out there might have just watched the Netflix documentary, kind of, want to understand the difference between what they saw on the cheer documentary with Navarro Community College and kind of what we do here at Vanguard.
Yeah. And I'm a fan of Navarro. I've known about them for years. I definitely have some roots in Texas. So, cheer, competitive cheer and all of that, is so popular and it's awesome. We have some very similar skills. Navarro, of course, the co-ed, so taking to the all-girl sport, which, competitive cheer is all-girl too. It has those things. But we will do some of the same pyramids that you saw on Netflix, only we do it without the guys. So the intricate timing, pyramids, and you could see from having watched that what can happen if something, is just a little bit off, So the timing of pyramids and the spacing of pyramids, that I would say is very similar to what you would see, from the competitive cheer. The big difference for us is that we have to do it absolutely perfect, where in the competitive cheer world, if you hit it, a hit is a hit. For us, we can hit it, but maybe our basket wasn't as high as the other teams, and we might not win that point because our basket didn't go as high. Or maybe, the pyramids shifted just a little bit, and that would be considered like a point off or a bobble, where in that competitive cheer world, they hit it, they move on, they go to the next thing, and they just keep going. Especially in tumbling, we have to take that tumbling and make it absolutely perfect. The height of the tucks, landing with your feet together, standing immediately still, as opposed to like hitting that skill, bouncing off and going to the next. So stunt is very execution driven. Now, the safety it comes into play, and this is where I think stunt is definitely in the right place at the right time for the sport. So stunt is a progression-based sport, and very safety-minded. So where we, look at the skill sets and work our way up, because there's routines going from 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 7, and it is a progression of skills, where in the competitive cheer world, it's just like throw it out there sometimes, depending on the program. Throw it out there, say a prayer, hope it hits. So for us, we just don't do that.
Yeah, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of one of the other differences too is on the cheer side, you get to control your routine. You have 2 minutes and 15 seconds, 2.5 minutes, somewhere in there to kind of do whatever you want.
Right.
But on the stunt side, everybody's doing the same routine, and you're basically being judged against your competition, not against yourself.
Right. So we don't do the choreography.
Choreography's
it's set, right? So it's kind of like the way you kind of look at it is a little bit similar to in the gymnastics world, where there are those set routines up to a certain level. And everybody's got to do the exact same skill, the exact same time, and it's who does it the best. So, we're in the Netflix and cheer and competitive cheer world. A lot of times, they could do a similar routine from year to year, where ours changes.
Yeah. And then on top of that, there's the strategy of quarters and trying to figure out what your opponent's weakness is and things like that. So kind of, as you're, we start competition this weekend,
right.
You're looking forward. I want to have you look backwards. I want you to look backwards to last year a little bit and just kind of the 13 game win streak or whatever we got up there after a while, a couple huge overtime wins. and reaching the national championship in only our second year, one of 4 teams across the country to make it to that level. When you think of that and kind of accomplishing that so soon into the program, what does that make you, what kind of emotions come out?
Well, we every time we stepped on the mat last season, we just were taking a leap of faith, and knowing that the young ladies that we had on our team were, we were almost a brand new team again, because we recruited in, goodness gracious, I think maybe another 15 girls. So combining team 1 and team 2, it took us some time to gel, and it took us a few games into the season to gel. And then all of a sudden, these girls just came out mentally tough, and it took us through every single game with their mental toughness, and they just had this competitiveness that I think we kind of surprised ourselves, and it was amazing to watch. They just, every time they hit the mat, they just went after it with just this competitive spirit and this confidence, and they would just continue, and they played every single routine in every single quarter. They never backed down. And a lot of our games, in fact, maybe most of our games we went into trailing, and then just kept battling back and kept going back and kept coming back, and we would catch up. And then several of those strategic games we caught up and got into that overtime situation, which took everybody by surprise. There were teams that had never even gone into overtime. I remember the coach telling me we would walk out and mat on the mat, and they're like, I've been playing this for like 4 years and I've never been in overtime. I'm like, well, okay, here we go, let's get after it. So these girls just fought. And that spirit, that competitive mental toughness spirit is what carried them. And then again, just a leap of faith every time we stepped on that mat, because it was a brand new experience still for quite a few girls.
Yeah, and that's the difference. In quarters 1 through 3, there's 9 total points up for grab. Then in quarter 4 alone, there's 12.
Yeah.
So you can make a lot of different gaps up there.
Yeah.
In there. So that's really cool. But so for some of the folks back at home that are listening, they might not know a little bit of your background and what brought you to Vanguard and things like that. So kind of give us a little bit of who you are and how you got into cheer.
Okay.
And then how you kind of decided to make that transition from the cheer world to collegiate stunt.
Okay. It's a great question. I have thought over that path and that question a lot, spent time kind of in self-reflection, and I believe that even as a young girl, my dad's a minister, so I was a preacher's kid, and my dad always got involved in the community, and our church was right across the street from the high school. And so I grew up going to the football games on the Friday night and watching, not the game, but watching the girls on the sidelines, the cheerleaders, and I just thought it was just the most coolest thing ever. So I started as a young girl going, that's what I want to do. And through my junior high and high school years, I had the opportunity to be on the team, make the team and do it, and just absolutely loved it. It just kind of was a passion. At the same time, working at our church, I always worked with young people. I Vacation Bible School and Sunday school, always had a love for and a passion for working with younger people, the young kids. And I think God was developing that combination of, the enjoyment of working with young kids. When got into college, majored in education, still kept my toe in that world. I would help local high schools, maybe with their teams, judge tryouts. So I never left it. And I did teach school, and then when my kids got at that age, there was like a need. Hey, we want to add a cheer team in the junior high, would somebody do it? Would somebody coach it? So I started then in the coaching area when my oldest daughter was in junior high, and it still just always had that love for it. I don't know. I enjoy the pageantry of it all. I like the precision. I just think that it's just cool, and it gives me the opportunity to continue to work with young people. Always used this as a tool really for as a ministry. It's definitely beyond the skill sets itself. It's really giving young people that have that same passion that I had, giving them an opportunity to use those skills to gain that self-confidence, and to hopefully carry on and maybe do the same thing as they get older. I think there is just something fun about it, and it's always a challenge. The sport has changed so much since my first beginnings in this. And I know the same thing the coach at Navarro said, I don't know how much further we can push the limits on these skills, but these young ladies are, it's a little bit of Cirque du Soleil, it's a little bit of gymnastics, and it's just 100% absolutely thrilling to watch.
That's one of the craziest things is, cheer for a lot of people in their minds is people on the sidelines, kind of just cheering and leading rallies and things like that. But when you look at the stunt side of it, it's so athletic.
Yeah.
And the heights that these girls are being thrown up on, I look at it all the time. I was like, I wouldn't do that. There's got to be a little bit of, a little bit of crazy in all these people to just want to push their body in the limits of, what a group of ladies on a mat can do, which is really exciting. So we're going to hit the mat for the first time this weekend. So it's tomorrow. Folks listening at home might hear this a little bit after the fact, but it's our first competition. You've had to replace a couple key parts, just some injuries that happened in the fall, and, graduating out some flyers and things like that from last season. Where do you think the team's at right now? And, what are you expecting over the next 2 to 3 months?
I'm expecting still a lot of growth. I think getting out there on the mat this weekend, we're going up against 2 very strong competitors. What I'm hoping to see is that mental toughness come out again. We have, freshmen coming in that have never played an official stunt game before. And so, really looking to see them just really understand and grasp the concept of stunt and the back and forth of it, and just to stay strong all the way through. And then playing more than one game in a day. So, that's where the big difference comes from us in the cheer world. The competitive cheer, they hit the mat, it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds and they're done for the day. And we spend 45 minutes in a game, have some lunch, and go back at it again and play a different opponent. So building up both mentally and physically their just stamina and their toughness. So the first couple of games, it's going to be a lot about that, especially going into that second game, seeing, new game, stepping on the mat. It's just, scoreboard is 0-0. Here we go. Let's give it our best.
Yeah, in that second game, it doesn't matter what happened in the first one. You got to just kind of roll over the page forward and be able to do that, and then also come back the next day and be able to do it again.
Play 2 more games again.
2 more again. Yeah, so that's the interesting thing is, you play, your season's 3 months long, but it's actually just all these little compact set of games, and you wait another week and you do it. So, it's just like every match matters, every point matters, and that's really exciting. So thank you for popping in here and taking a little bit of time. I know you've got some preparation, some film to go watch, so thank you for letting us snag you out of your office, and we'll see you later this season, okay?
Okay, great. Thanks.
Welcome back here. Thanks so much for listening to that conversation that Jeff Melton had with head stunt coach Leslie Allen. Jeff, After that conversation, you're able to chat with Leslie. What was kind of the most telling thing for you, or kind of your favorite part about how Leslie's leading this program and how it's going to look moving forward in the future?
Yeah, I think one of the key parts is, kind of the why behind her coaching, and how she got into it. And, as a preacher's daughter from the South, like she always likes to remind us around here, that she really views what she's doing with these girls on and off the mat as her ministry in life. And, I think that's a very common theme that you see around Vanguard, not only with the administrators and the staff members, the professors, our coaches, things like that, is we're all here to impact the future generation and lead them towards a Christ-centered life, and to be able to kind of reach all the corners of the world. And I think she's doing that through the world of stunt. And I just think it's awesome how, she's got a roster of about 40 people, and there's some turnover there, year in, year out when you get a big roster like that. And just the amount of freshmen that she keeps bringing in, and how quickly they have to adapt and kind of get there for a sport that is so centered around everybody. If you're a basketball player, a football player, a soccer player, and you screw up, it might not be noticed by, the average fan. The coaches will know,
right.
But, if you mess up your part on a 3-level high pyramid, everybody knows, because the whole thing comes tumbling down. And I just think kind of incorporating those two sides of things is really special to watch.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm glad you guys were able to have that conversation. I hope the listeners at home are able to enjoy that as well. Leslie is great addition here to our staff. Super blessed to have her. And so thank you for chatting with her about that. So thank you guys again for listening in. If you guys are just joining us, we do this every single week, the Coach's Corner, and where we will talk with other coaches across the department and hear their stories and insights on the season and what their career has looked like up to this point. Feel free to subscribe to us in whatever way that you listen to podcasts. That can be Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all of the above. Basically, you're all over the place. So feel free to subscribe, rate us as well. That'll definitely help us as we move forward. So thank you so much again for listening in. The Coach's Corner on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network.